Well, hello and welcome to this week's video blog entitled Journey to Wholeness. I'm going to share a few more thoughts about otherness and building onto the language of what does it mean to quote-unquote dismantle racism. I think the best place to start when one is reflecting on the experience of race, other, then we have to go to our next experience, concrete experience, which has been formative in either helpful or unhelpful ways. I grew up when I was 7 on a dairy farm in Queensland, Australia. And my family, my father's an optometrist. We had a guest, a young man, come and live with us for, I can't remember, a year at least. I was 7. His name was Headley. Headley was a native Australian Aboriginal. And at that time in Queensland, farmers were allowed to have Aborigine come and live on your farm and work in order to help them learn how to be like a white person. It was free labour. We never called it slavery, but this is 1959 I'm talking about. And so Headley lived with us, and he helped milk the cows and drive the tractor and do things, to learn how to be a farmhand. And Headley lived in the cream shed, a shed outside the house. It had maybe one window, a concrete floor. It was the old creamery, and an ex-World War II armour cot, and a Hessian for a door. No glass in the windows. He slept there. Headley would disappear for a week at a time. We never knew where he went. All his clothes would be stuck in his bed. He went on a walkabout. And he would tell me the stories of the dream time and how the kookaburra got his laugh or how the kangaroo got his tail and so on. I loved Headley. And one day he would come to the back door of the house, up the steps, and Mother would give him a tray of food. He would go over and eat his food by himself in the cream shed. And I couldn't work out why he didn't eat with us if he was like here on the farm, And I said to my mother, why is Headley here? And she said, well, he's planning to be like us. Oh, okay. I said, well, why does he eat with us? She said, we don't talk about that. And that was it. So that was the first formative experience for me as a 7-year-old about otherness. Black man, young man, eating, working, but you could not eat together at the table. It was too dangerous even to talk about it. My second formative experience as a young person, about the same time, I was born in 1952, so it's not long after World War II. And my mother would talk about being a nurse in the war. And those damn Yanks in Australia. If you're not from America, a Yank is a very nasty way to call someone a name. So in American culture you got Yanks from north and south, but outside of America, in Australia, a Yank, in Australia you use rhyming slang. And my mother talked about the soldiers in Brisbane, where she nursed, as being oversexed, overpaid, and over here. And that was a very kind of point of resentment and hatred, where white people, Australians, hated the Americans being in Brisbane in World War II. And Yank in Australian slang is a slang for a septic tank, Yank tank. So to call someone a Yank is to call them their septic tank, where they follow. It's very, very nasty. So there's my second formative experience about otherness for white people, Americans. Number 2. Number 3, my mother and my grandparents on both sides are Scottish. They hated the English. And so my parents, great-grandparents, they left Scotland in about 910, and like the Irish, they were the recipients of economic injustice. And so my great-grandparents, they just hated the English. Well, not called English, they're called Poms, or Pommy bastards. So now I learnt to hate white Americans, who were separate Yanks, learned to hate English people, Poms, or Pommy bastards, or whinging Poms. And so in Australian culture, in the 60s and 70s, you learnt to hate people white from England, whites from America, and black people. My father would tell us stories when he was going to high school. High school he went to, which I was sent to, Brisbane State High, it was next to St. Lawrence's high school, a Roman Catholic day school. And the boys would come past to get to school. They would walk in this path. On an Ash Wednesday, they'd have the ashes on their forehead and heading off to school. My father would tell us with great delight how they would grab the Catholic boys and spit on their foreheads and wash the ash off. And he'd tell us it was the funniest thing out. So here I am, an 8, 9, 10-year-old, laughing along at these terrible things being done to Roman Catholics. Now we're against a different religion, Think of this. Aborigines, black, Americans, white, but different tribe, English in a different tribe, and now a different religion. That was what I was formed as. So I left home 18, my father with a rather jaundiced opinion of certain groups of people. Racism is not just about white people and white people, or black people and white people. So when I came to live in America, racism was thought about as between two different coloured skins. But my experience was, actually it's quite more complex, very complex. Then I came to the South in 94, 95, I was interim rector in St. Paul's Macon. And I was at a dinner party one night, and one of the women was talking about how at her husband's office, who's a doctor, I think, and how the Niglets were making a mess in the waiting room. And I thought, what the hell's that, And a week later, I was back in Atlanta, and I was speaking to a colleague at the doctoral program. I said, this woman called these people Niglets. What's a Niglet? I've never heard of that, And he goes, well, think of the word. He said, halve the word. What do you got? A nig and let. What's let? Piglet. What's niglet? Little black kid. I felt like I want to throw up with the emotion of this. I was gasping. This is 1995. And, but didn't say anything. And then, it wasn't until after 9/11, and we're asking the question: how could people fly planes into buildings and kill thousands of people? Like how do humans do that? And then I remembered my vividly experience when I was about 25 at a big rugby tournament in Brisbane. The English team was touring Australia, so Australian Wallabies were playing England. And you out in the hills, it's a pretty primitive stadium, lots of alcohol, and all the English people singing these songs, and Aussies and do this, that, and we got legless drunk, and when the hooter went, Australia won, and I just turned around and punched the first person I was standing next to, who was not one of my mates, and then it turned into a 200-person brawl. Now, for many years when I go to reunions, that would come up, how, I remember it was called the Battle of Brisbane at Ballymore, and we were skied about it. Yeah, we were there and we cleaned them up, Well, on the night of 9/11, I preached on that vivid memory of how can people enact aggression to other people who look the same as you. I'd never really thought about that. I never really accepted the formation, the malformation from my family of origin. My mother, my father, my family, Headley, all the serve to make me an incubator for anger and aggression towards other people, which we can call racism. So the question is, do you dismantle racism? As I said in the last video blog, it's a phenomenological, I think, impossibility. You can love people. You have to embrace people. You have to encounter people who are different. Engage, embrace, and then we'll be in a relationship with one another. I think that's the way that we have to move. And take the moments to be aware of the events that were formed us. Not as a 7-year-old, I didn't make those choices. I was born into it. But certainly you can live out of it, or grow out of it. And I think that's within the Christian tradition, we have an opportunity to grow into the fullness of the stature of Christ, where our relationships are very different to the other ones which actually destroy human beings and deface humanity. So I offer that still to you today, this week. Live well, live strong, live long. See you again.